Greetings, this is Christine Bundy, State Coordinator for the Indiana Assembly. It is for GenEd Wednesday. We are continuing with Declaration of 76, United States Constitution, a Common Lawyer Comments, clause by clause, by Brent Allen Winters. So let's go ahead with our running through of the study guides from or study guide questions from last week's reading. All right, so it was pages 61 to 66, and here is the recording of those pages. And then here we go. So, section 1, clause 1. We want to be able to show both. Oh, I got that over here. All right, so I'm going to minimize this so we can be able to see the declaration. And pages 61. Here we go. Minimize this so we can stay with Article 1. Okay, so Section 1, Clause 1. All legislative powers were granted, powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. Number 2, this legislative powers clause means that only Congress shall legislate, that is, pass laws. Number 2, Section 2, Clause 1, the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. Number 4, in order to vote in an election for the House of Representatives, a person must meet his state's qualifications to vote in an election for the most numerous branch of his legislature, usually called the state's House of Representatives. Section 2, Clause 2. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years and have been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state in which he shall be chosen. And here again is where the 7 years comes in, so that's why part of why the witness testimonies have known you for at least 7 years, right? All right, number 6. Therefore, a candidate can run for a congressional representative in one state while residing in another, but the House cannot lawfully seat that representative-elect unless, when elected, he lived in the state that chose him. So at the time he had to live there. Okay. All right. Number 7. Amendment 14. Section 1 modifies the foregoing clause, Section 2, Clause 3, concerning representatives, now requiring only 3 things. 1. The number of representatives allowed each state shall be based on its population. 2. Congress must tally the people of the United States every 10 years. And 3, each state must have at least 1 representative. Number 8, Section 2, Clause 4. This enumeration, let's see. This enumeration, where is this? This enumeration must never be estimated. Okay, it should never be estimated. Let's see. But actual. The clause grants no right to more information. Okay? All right. Number 9. The purpose of tallying the population in each state is twofold. To determine the number of representatives each state will send to Congress and to enable the burden of direct taxes to be laid on each state in proportion to its population. Number 10. In short, the framers pictured a simple head count of people living in each state so that each state's representation in Congress would be fair for purposes of taxation. Number 11, thus census forms demanding information beyond an actual numeration run afoul of our Constitution. And if you've noticed how even the last census that went through had several questions related to income, how many in the household, it wasn't a simple head count, was it? All right, number 12, Section 2, Clause 5. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. A writ is a written command from one part of the government having a certain authority to another part under that authority to do a certain thing. In the instance where the executive branch of the current administration pulled the IRS, which is the enforcer of the taxes, under the executive office when it actually is housed under the House of Representatives, the ones that actually impose the tax. It is the current administration that then set forth executive orders to control the IRS, even though they don't have actual authority over the IRS. But this is where you, as men and women that have declared and recorded their status, that have the authority and the standing, can put them back in order. Not violently, but peacefully, but it has to be done. You cannot, being nice is part of the problem that got us here. All right, let's see. Section 2, Clause 6, the House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and their officers and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Number 15. The House's impeachment of a government office holder for wrongs done is akin to the grand jury's indictment of a person for a crime. Just as grand jury indictment empowers the Senate to try the one impeached. Okay, if you'll notice, something interesting, very interesting, is going on. The reason that the number 45 is being brought through the grand jury process is because he's no longer currently active with the U.S. government. Therefore, you're seeing how everything is actually supposed to be laid out, that the power is back in the hands of the people. But you, the people, have to do something to take the reins back. Stop waiting for others to fix your problems. All right. Number 16, Section 3, Clause 1. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Number 17, Amendment 17 changes this clause, requiring the voters of each state to choose their state senator by a majority, weakening the people's stake in state legislature elections, inciting senators to manipulate the people. Number 18, Section 3, Clause 2, immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The sets of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the second year. The second class at the expiration of the 4th year, and of the third class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every second year. Number 19, by requiring staggered elections of senators, our Constitution gives us a stable, slow-moving, and sure-footed regular body, less blown about by the ever-shifting foolishness of political winds. Foolishness, like saying that your skin color has anything to do with it, or saying that gender has anything to do with your behavior. This is all foolishness. These are things that are already set in stone. Those are natural order laws, but yet they're being chosen as foolishness to try and misdirect things, as well as we're noticing how they're literally flat out showing now that they're directly taking communist actions towards political opponents. Section 3, Clause 2, continued. That would be here. Let's see. Okay, yeah. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. Number 21, to balance the Senate's slowness with quicker responses to the people, the entire House of Representatives, by contrast, faces re-election every 2 years. Interesting how they don't end up, it doesn't cycle out like that, but that's what the Constitution says it's supposed to do. Alright, so those were the questions for that segment. So now we're going to go ahead with the next round of readings. And the link is here. That's in the presentation, that's in the description at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and play that now. Continuing with Brett Allen Winter's Declaration of 76, United States Constitution of Common Lawyer Comments, clause by clause, pages 66 to 71. Section 3, Clause 3. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. Comment. To become a member of the Senate, the candidate must be 30 years old, have been a citizen of the United States for 9 years, and shall at the time of his election live in the state that has chosen him. Our Constitution has no other qualifications beyond these 3. Therefore, a candidate can run for Senate in one state while residing in another, but the Senate cannot lawfully seat that senator elect unless, when elected, he lives in the state that chose him. The minimum age for a senator, being 5 years older than a representative, is to ensure a more cautious mind and wariness to act. Simply put, the representative's younger age will incline him to the majority's pressing passions. The older age of a senator will incline him to long rumination. In addition, each representative faces re-election every 2 years, further subjecting him to the voters' passions, whereas the senator faces re-election only every 6 years, affording him longer-ranged focus. Section 3, Clause 4, the Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. Comment. By admitting states into the Union so as to maintain at any given time an even number of states, Congress can keep the Vice President from using his powerful tie-breaking Senate vote. The executive office's Vice President, powerful check by veto on the legislative office, Senate. Though the Vice President is the official President of the Senate, he rarely presides except on special occasions. Section 3, Clause 5. The Senate shall choose their other officers, and also a President pro tempore in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. Comment. The phrase President pro tempore means President for the time being, that is, in the absence of the real President of the Senate, which is the Vice President of the United States. The President pro tempore of the Senate is third in line of succession to the office of President, after the Speaker of the House of Representatives, which is after the Vice President. Section 3, Clause 6, the Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no President shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Comment. By the letters, impeachment means to catch another by the foot. Thus, by impeaching an office holder, the House of Representatives catches and holds him for the Senate, which will then try him for the wrongs the House of Representatives articles of impeachment charge. Section 3, Clause 7. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. Comment. If the Senate convicts the one impeached, our Constitution allows his removal from office and forever barring him from holding any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. This clause limits to our courts alone the power to impose any other punishment as long as it is according to law, i.e., according to the course of the common law, law being an abbreviation for our common law, which both Magna Carta and our Constitution call the law of the land. Note well, conviction does not require a 2/3 vote of the entire Senate, but a 2/3 concurrence of senators present, even if any present refuses to vote. See above, Article Section 3, Clause 6. Section 4, Clause 1. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations except as to the places of choosing senators. Comment. Each state decides when to hold its primary elections. Consequently, state primaries for national offices range from winter through the late summer months, the general election for national offices being held the following November. Section 4, Clause 2, the Congress shall assemble at least once in every year. Comment. Using force, English priests and kings had at times kept Parliament from meeting for long spells. For instance, Cardinal Wolsey had gathered so much power he once kept Parliament from meeting for 7 years. Thus, this clause requires Congress to meet at least once a year. The framers worried that Congress would never meet and would try to delegate all its powers to the president. Nowadays, we worry that Congress meets too often, passing laws too much. See this handbook, U.S. Declaration of 76, Section 7, and comment. And such meetings shall be on the first Monday in December. Comment. Amendment 20 modifies the foregoing clause, changing the date of the opening of the Congress's session to 3 January, unless Congress by law sets another date, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Comment. This is a default provision. If Congress never appoints a day of meeting at their adjournment, this clause still requires Congress to meet each year. See this handbook, U.S. Declaration of 76, Section 7, and comment. In fact, the law French word adjourn is short for to appoint a day. Thus, it is said that to adjourn without appointing a day of meeting delivers death, as it were, to the body of the men assembled. If, however, Congress at adjournment fails to set a day of meeting again, this clause 2 precludes the death of that body of men assembled, because Congress always has a future appointed day of meeting, the first Monday in December. Section 5, Clause 1. Each House shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. But a smaller number may adjourn from day to day and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as such house may provide. Neither house may do business until at least a majority of that house's members are present to vote. Comment. If a candidate disputes an election result to fill a seat in either House of Congress, Senate, or House of Representatives, that house will determine the winner of its seat. Further, each house is the sole judge of whether or not any of its members meet our Constitution's qualifications. In acting on motions to oust a member, however, either House of Congress may consider any matter bearing on that member's fitness for office. Further, discussion and debate can go on whether or not a quorum is present, so long as a quorum is present for the final vote on the matter. Section 5, Clause 2. Each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member. Comment. Each house makes its own rules. For instance, the House of Representatives puts strict time limits on debate to speed up business. On the other hand, the Senate's rules make it harder to end a debate. A senator may speak as long as he wishes unless the Senate votes for cloture, a motion to end debate. On most matters, cloture requires a vote of 60 senators, or 3/5 of the total Senate membership. Either house can oust a member by a 2/3 majority vote. Section 5, Clause 3. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may, in their judgment, require secrecy. And the yeas and nays of the members of either house on any question shall, at the desired of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Comment. Following each session of Congress, each house publishes its own journal, listing all the bills and resolutions considered during the session, as well as votes taken. Messages from the President to Congress are also included. Of more importance, however, Congress publishes the Congressional Record daily and includes word-for-word transcripts of its debates. In practice, however, Congress sometimes fails to record matters hard to justify. For instance, in 1998, the Senate seated a federal district judge in central Illinois without holding the required up or down vote, leaving a blank space in the record. Section 5, Clause 4, neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. Comment. Though Congress sits in two different houses, each with its distinct purpose, this provision bars either house from boycotting or shunning a proposal of the other without giving it due consideration. Accordingly, this clause forbids either house from leaving a session of Congress for over 3 days unless the other house consents. See this handbook, U.S. Declaration of 76, Section 7, and comment.
All right, so now let's go ahead and we will do the run through of the questions for the study guide. So let's get going with that one. All right, so here is again the link for you to be able to get the audio and to be able to purchase the book. So the next round of questions, 22, Section 3, Clause 3. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of blank, and have been blank years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state for which he shall be chosen. Number 23. Therefore, a candidate can run for Senate in one state while blank in another. But the Senate cannot lawfully seat that senator-elect unless, when blank, he lives in the state that chose him. Number 24, Section 3, Clause 4, the blank of the United States shall be president of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. Number 25, though the vice president and the official president of the Senate is the official president of the Senate, he rarely blank except on special occasions. 26, Section 3, Clause 5. The Senate shall choose their other officers, and also a president pro tempore in the absence of the vice president, or when he shall exercise the office of blank of the United States. And if you notice the craziness in whether they live on the state or don't live on the state, if they're appointed or elected, a lot of those issues the militia has been able to, the peacekeepers have worked through to be able to help clean some of that muddiness up. Number 27, the president pro tempore of the Senate is blank in line of succession to the office of president after the Speaker of the House of Representatives, which is after the vice president. Number 28, Section 3, Clause 6, the Senate shall have the sole power to try all blank. 29, thus by impeaching an office holder, the House of Representatives catches and holds him for the Senate, which will then try him for the blank, the House of Representatives blank of impeachment charge. Number 30, Section 3, Clause 7. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to blank from office and blank to hold and enjoy an office of honor. Trust or profit under the United States, but the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. Interesting how previous bad actor presidents weren't held to that same standard when they were impeached. No, they got to show up the next day at work and still take the pay and still fully do the job. Number 31. However, in this case with 45, they want to try and literally put him in a jail cell, but they wouldn't do it with their actual criminals. That's the de facto for you. Okay, 31. Note well, conviction does not require a 2/3 of vote of the entire Senate, but a 2/3 concurrence of senators blank, even if any present blank to vote. 32, Section 4, Clause 1, the times, places, and manner of the holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may, at blank blank, by law, make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. 33, each state blank when to hold its blank elections. 34, Section 4, Clause 2, the Congress shall assemble at least blank in every year. 35, using blank English, priests and kings had at times kept Parliament from meeting for long spells. 36, the framers worried that Congress would never meet and would try to delegate all its power to the blank. 37, Amendment 20 modifies the foregoing clause, changing the date of the opening day of Congress's session to blank unless Congress by law sets another date. 38, if however Congress at blank fails to set a day of meeting again, this clause 2 precludes the death of that body of men assembled because Congress always has a future appointed day of meeting, the first blank in December. 39, Section 5, Clause 1, neither house may do business until at least a blank of the house's members are present to blank. 40, further, each house is the sole judge of whether or not any of its members meet our Constitution's blank. 41, Section 5, Clause 2, each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of blank blank, blank a member. 42, on most matters, cloture requires a vote of 60 senators, or blank blank of the total Senate membership. 43, Section 5, Clause 3, each house shall keep a blank of its proceedings, and from time to time blank the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy. Which is interesting, they lump everything for secrecy under national security, right? Anything that they don't want let out. Number 44, of more importance, however, Congress publishes the congressional record daily and includes blank for blank transcripts of its debates. 45, in practice, however, Congress sometimes blank to record matters hard to blank. 46, Section 5, Clause 4, neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the blank of the other, blank for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. 47, though Congress sits in 2 different houses, each with its distinct purpose, this provision bars either house from blank or shunning a proposal of the other without giving it due blank. All right, so I want to remind you that all 4 pillars are in session. The business session, international session, that only necessarily needs to meet when there is something of international importance, and that had only occurred with dealing with the foundational documents for the Indiana Assembly, and those are on the indianaassembly.org website. You'll be able to see, for public record, the Assembly's documents that have been recorded. All right, so that's the business international pillar. The General Assembly is combined with Militia Assembly because militia is inextricably linked to each, provides the peacekeeping services as well as the upholding of the public law, right? And so General Assembly and Militia Assembly meets every other Monday, 6 p.m. Central. And then the Juror with Militia Assembly are meeting on the alternate Mondays. And all the calls are being, special guest host is Joe on Kentucky. He is also the Postal 4 Area Chief. Indiana is part of Postal Area 4 with Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky. And Joe also serves as the Peacekeeping Task Force Executive Director. Joe is committed to meeting with us each week on a weekly basis to be able to support correct land and soil jurisdiction training to course correct Indiana. So please show that respect. Armored up state nationals and state citizens ready and willing and able and are required to be added to the Zoom link invite to participate and engage in active conversation. Otherwise able to view on social media platforms. Either click on the link in the email which I'm not sending. I don't think I've sent that out anymore, so I need to update this. But anyway, any documents that you're wanting to send must be in a PDF format. Photos have a hard time transferring. While it's easier for you to just take a photo of it, it does not make it easy for me to put it in a document format that's a public viewable document for you. So put it in a PDF that you approve, that you feel good about how that PDF looks. But it's not a photo. Moreover, the Land Recording Office, the LRO, only accepts a photo upload for the passport photo and the thumbprint. All documents are in PDF format. All right, so in those general and juror assembly calls combined with the militia assembly, we'll be training and building. So this is how to actually walk the walk of being the General Assembly, the Juror Assembly. Here are the Assembly's social media links for the videos to be able to watch the live calls as well. And GenEd, General Education Call, Wednesdays, these on Wednesday mornings. If you would like to support the Assembly, one-time or monthly contributions, commitments, here is the link to be able to support that. Again, social media connections, if you do know of other platforms besides these 4 that offer live stream and chatting functions, things like that, email records at theindianaassembly.org. Also, we're seeking armored up Indianians that have social media skills, tech skills like this. Prepare to be able to show current active work. Okay, we're fact and evidentiary based, so don't say I've done this and I've done that. Show the proof. Show it. Let us show your homework, right? And then of course support links here. All right, and here is to be able to schedule with me for either a consult or a recording. Remember, these are not actually approved. Don't think that because you've got a call link that you're automatically booked and that I'll just show up for that call. I may be asking you questions, but you'll get a final approval whether or not I'm going to be coming into that call, because you need to present some information to me for my safety just as much as for yours. All right, so we'll be back next week with continuing further with the Constitution breakdown by Brent Allen Winters. I want to thank you all, and I wish you peace and love.